Hello. How are you? I don't hear you. Hang on. Hang on. Okay. I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. So confusing. Let me just make sure.
How are you?
I'm great, thank you.
I brought you flowers, Tim.
Oh, thank you. I brought you a plant. There you go.
That's good.
How's that?
That's good. We've got some live stuff going. Put those back on. They look very cool.
They're nice, aren't they?
They're very cool.
So
it's been a while, Timbo. It's been a while, Mr. Tim, since our integral initial flight, our first video. It's been an epic ride actually since then, hasn't it? I don't know how long it's been. Probably about 3 months.
Yeah, I bet it has actually. Yeah, probably. Didn't check.
Had Christmas and a New Year, and we've had a solstice, and we're in the middle of 2 eclipses. Here we are on January the 16th.
Yeah. I just lost track of everything, so I don't even.
Well, I think that's what we get to talk about.
I think so. Yeah.
I think that's what we get to talk about, because I think we put down the foundation, a nice, solid, stable foundation of integrity and our flirtatious dialogue.
And you were going to say that.
Our flirtatious quote. These are quote marks, Tim, look.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Our flirtatious dialogue of, well, to some a great deal, to others seemingly nothing. But no thing is not possible.
Exactly.
It's not possible, because here we are, you, me, that's 2, and 3, whoever's watching it. So we have Trinity. I think that's pretty cool. I would like to talk today with my friend Tim in dialogue about fear.
Okay, let's do it. I'll let you start since it's your subject.
And illusion and disillusion and internal and external. Where am I going with this? Duality. Hey, duality. Dark and light.
Okay.
So I think you should go first and tell me a little bit of your roller coaster ride since we last spoke.
Okay, I have around maybe late October, early December, I just kind of started to get very depressed, which tends to happen around that time of year for some reason for me. I don't know if it's a pattern I've developed or if it's an actual thing, or I just cried a lot, to be honest. And I just felt I didn't feel like there was no purpose, like that's not that kind of depression. It was just very sad, very heavy. And then I just kind of worked out of it very slowly. And then I don't know, I just let Christmas come and go. That was lovely. Christmas was great. I had a really nice time. And then in between New Year, it was again just not really anything, just kind of empty again. That just empty feeling of I don't know how to explain it. It wasn't horrible, and it wasn't lack of purpose. It wasn't horrible. It was just heavy. I think it's just the heaviness of life, I guess. I suppose all the things that have just been going on with everyone and the world, and obviously things change. So I think taking on also somebody else in my life in a relationship has also been a big change. So I had to change myself slightly, obviously, to adjust to allow that person in. Otherwise, there'd be no room for them. So that's been interesting, but nice. And now I'm good. So now I'm back in January. I expected magically January was going to be just like a switch, and I thought, oh, January the 1st, I'll suddenly feel full of energy, which everyone always thinks, obviously, but that didn't happen. So I spent a day or two feeling a bit down again. But after that, I was pretty good. So now I'm back on track, and I want to be back to doing this, helping other people and just discussing. I think all we can ever do is just be honest about our feelings, and that helps everybody else. So
you're right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I started yesterday. Actually, I made a video because I have no hair. So because I'm getting bald since I've been about 22.
Have some of mine.
Thank you. So I made a video shaving it with an actual razor blade, discussing how it felt, and for the first time, and I actually really liked it. But the video didn't record properly, so it kept going in and out. So there's only like 5-second clips of the video. So I've got to filter like 60 clips. And there's like, I think there's about 5 fragments where I actually make sense within the video. So I'm going to maybe make like one of those Facebook memes where there's like text over the video or something.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do that, but I got a choice because I wanted it to be the original footage rather than do it again. So I'm just going to do it, I think. And then I've got a few more ideas going forward. So I'm just going to just keep doing that. Yeah.
One in front of the other, eh?
I think that's the only thing I can do. I think.
Okay, well, that's quite a lot there.
That's
an enormous amount you have just shared. And I know you're not the only one that's been feeling that. So let's just break that down a little bit. Given the sort of topic and title we are going with.
Okay.
First of all, singularity, you're not.
No.
I mean, the fact that you're discussing this and sharing it, I know there's going to be so many people that have gone through it, are going through it, or will go through it. This sort of dark, nothing, void space where
it's a good word.
Seemingly there's nothing. There's no real great feelings or creativity or potential or motivation. It's just this place of nothing, which is perfect because that's what it's supposed to be. That place of nothing, because from nothing comes everything, creation itself. And if we can look at that dark space as a catalyst, if you like, a catalyst, because all dark is non-active light.
Yep. Yes.
Are we in agreement with that?
We are. Yep.
Non-active light. So it would be a bit crazy, insane, crazy to think that we can be creative and on all the time and happy all the time, because duality is exactly that: dark and light, yin and yang, good and bad, happy and sad. And the whole range of all of that is to be experienced. Now we have a choice of I guess choosing happy or sad, and my guess is you would prefer happy, but I don't know, sometimes it's quite nice to be sad if you're watching a movie or something, doesn't it? But how would you know happy if you didn't have sad? You wouldn't,
right? You wouldn't have a clue. And I heard a guy today actually called Kyle Cease, I think his name is. He's a comedian, but he's actually switched to kind of do the thing we're talking about now. just discussing his feelings as he goes without any real plan, but just being open with everybody. And he was saying that the only reason we feel the fact that we're wrong when we feel that way is because we're told that we should be happy. And then I know that already, but you forget that you know that. And then when you hear it, you think, oh yeah. And I was half asleep because I was taking a nap when I heard it. And I was like, oh, that's it. That's exactly right. So now I've decided that I'm not going to. So for example, I get kind of like anxiety attacks, maybe not to the point where it's crippling, but in my head and my body, I feel it quite a lot. And I maybe take too many painkillers for my bad neck and that kind of stuff. And I've decided I'm not going to label those things as addiction or as anxiety anymore. And I'm going to just allow them to be whatever they are and then work through it that way. And maybe that will make a difference, because I think labeling the thing immediately
creates an identity.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
An identity that we wear with pride, or become a victim
exactly
to, and repeat that, and we go through our day or our life going, well, this is who I am, and we make this whole story up around it that we share with others, and we become the leading role in our own drama that is the illusion. And we become very disillusioned with the illusion of our own story.
Yes.
Whoa, that was a sentence, wasn't it?
True.
And yes, you're exactly right. We have to be very, very, very careful of that. And I heard you say earlier, Tim, that you got very down and sort of depressed, and you were not sure if that was a cycle or a pattern.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm not suggesting it was, but what I am saying is we, like those old records, the LPs that have grooves, you know, we create grooves in our mind, our thought, and create passions that we can become very comfortable with. And our unconscious looks for those reference points. It really looks for, oh, I know that. I know that behavior. I know those feelings. Let's go there.
You're right.
And suddenly there we are in that lovely cycle and that groove, once again doing the same old. And it's like, it's only when you become aware, conscious, talk about it, recognize it, like you just said, don't label it or relabel it.
Exactly. Yeah. Reform the habit. Yeah.
Yes.
Into a positive.
Change, because change is the only constant. Change is the only constant.
It's so funny. You've literally reiterated what I heard today. And
Seriously? Well, I haven't heard it.
No, exactly. And you've pretty much word for word reiterated what I heard within the same amount of time, in the same sentence and the same.
Did you send over telepathically?
To be fair, I was lying in my slumber, I suppose it was, not asleep but awake at the same time, and the words were sinking in my head, and I was feeling very part of everything rather than just my. Do you know that dream state where you're just half awake and half asleep and you feel more loose? And I was feeling more part of the world rather than just me. And I think it made it sink in my head more. And then I was thinking that's not only true. It's kind of a fundamental part, like the change, as you said, is the only thing that is possible, because right now all I can do is do what I wanted to do yesterday. I can't go back and change yesterday. But I can now right now decide to do something different in this very second. And that's change. That's the only way change works. It's a now thing.
The only thing that really exists from our past are the memories.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way we can recall or relate to those memories is through feeling. Yeah. And those feelings are going to be good, bad, or indifferent. Mm-hmm. And those memories and thoughts are going to create the groove, the cycle we've just spoken about, whether it's through a piece of music, something we read, something we hear, or just a time of year, or a word, whatever it is. Now, we can't go there, like you say, and relive it.
No.
And we can't project ourselves into the future and really know or change anything that hasn't even happened yet. I won't go into the quantum of that. We'll keep to the reality of it.
We're not there just yet, unfortunately.
Or the so-called reality that we're experiencing here in this skin suit. But anyway, where was I? The now. Mm-hmm. The now, the present, the now. Because that's all we have, Tim. So consciously and unconsciously, the conscious we can do something about, the unconscious we can change by moment to moment thoughts and direction.
Exactly. And I actually read a while back what you said about they create the rewarding of the track of being on the same track and it feels comfortable. That's an actual the way our brain actually is wired. That's how it works. Most people agree that there's two sides. So one side is autopilot and one side is emergency stop. And autopilot knows how to just wake up and do the normal routine in the morning because we have to do it and that kind of stuff, or drive to work, whatever. And emergency stop is, oh, I don't want to do that because that's scary or that's going to make me have to jump out of my ordinary routine, even though the ordinary routine is painful or it hurts, but we still know it's safe in a sense because it's not hurting us right now. So the ordinary routine isn't hurting us, but it may be making us miserable, but it's not killing us essentially. So we just let it go on and on and on. And then when we jump out of it, our brain does everything it can to literally stop us jumping out, even if it's a good change. It just stops. It interacts with the chemicals and stuff. And then we have to physically force ourselves into a new path by forging every second. And then eventually it rewires itself and we have a new track. And that new track becomes a positive track rather than a bad one. That makes sense?
It's total sense. It takes work, effort, and commitment. But we're talking about us. We're talking about our life. Mm-hmm. And we have control of that.
We do. We don't think we do.
We have control of that with our own thoughts and those reference points I was talking about. But what stops us is passions, beliefs, indoctrination from childhood,
yes.
From school, from perceptions, from projections. And what this creates is this real hardcore ingrained ball of fear that the mind just loves because that's its survival and comfort, and it will do anything it can to hold on to those. And anybody that comes near you and challenges that in any way, emotionally, physically, or mentally, we'll either go into our shell and become very fearful or very aggressive and attack that, or run a million miles away.
Yes. Yes.
None of it is conducive to our own evolvement, happiness, prosperity, health. I mean, it's all very, very detrimental. So fear is the real downer and complete opposite of love.
Yes, the lack of.
If love is Mr. Happy Juice, fear is Mr. Miserable Juice, you know?
Let's be fair, or Mrs. or in between. So anybody.
So it's all right to recognize it, know it, feel it, experience it, but not dwell in it and let it dictate and rule our lives. It's not in charge. It's not.
It's not. No, we just think it's an illusion that we think it is in charge because we think we have to do.
Illusion of disillusion.
Exactly. We think we have to fix all of the problems from childhood and all of that stuff before we can move forward. And we don't. We don't need anyone else's acceptance, anyone else's apologies. We need to do that for ourselves in our heads and move forward that way.
By doing that internal work with yourself, you're actually doing it for everybody else.
You are. That's exactly right. Yeah.
You're doing it for everybody else. You know, it's because they can't experience anything different to you. They will in their own unique way, in their own unique time. But there's nothing different. That whole range of experience and emotion as a human being, in all of its dirty, lovely, amazing, beautiful glory, is happening to all of us.
Yeah, I agree.
All of us.
We can all experience.
We're in, whatever we're doing, it's happening to all of us. And I think really important to, when fear arises and whatever creates that fear, because we've all got our lovely own trigger points.
Yeah.
Oh my God, haven't we?
We have. They are. Do you know they are literal trigger points though? Our brains, when we, for example, smell like a coffee, for example, in the morning, if that is part of our addiction cycle. So, for example, I take painkillers in the morning for my neck because it usually hurts, and then I drink coffee. But those two are associated in my head. So when I'm trying to not take painkillers and I smell coffee, my brain thinks, oh, painkillers. That's literally the same through the whole of our days with everything. And it's not just addictions. It's through, pain through love and through trauma through childhood. And it's all about those triggers through life, through smell, through hearing. And they're literal triggers in our heads. It's not it's not a fake thing. It's a real thing.
It's, I think the need, the want, the self-exploration, you know, you actually get to a point where even with that, you start going round in circles. Yeah. And then you really have to start digging in and digging deep, because everything is frequency. And you said at the start of this dialogue that you were feeling heaviness and density and yuckiness, and that heaviness literally is a frequency, and that can be within, as most things are, but of course that within then can be projected out, and when you're extremely sensitive, as you are, you will feel that. Nothing has to be said, nothing has to be done. You can walk into a place or just be in your own home, and with thought projection, you will feel that weighty heaviness, which will start to stick with you and suddenly become yours. And it's not even yours. It's
absolutely correct. I think we all do that, and we all know that. But on some level, we ignore it, we dismiss it. Because I, with my boyfriend, I'll sense things before he goes to say them or goes to do them, and I'll say it because it's funny to me. So I'll say it in advance, and he'll be like, "Can you stop reading my mind?" I'm like, "I can't help it. It's just I just know what you're gonna. I know what you're gonna do or say based on what you've maybe just thought or somehow insinuated through your body language. Not even it could just be a slight movement right, then I'll get a picture in my head and I'll be like, oh, he's going to do this or say this. And he'll say, but you're doing that because there's 1,000 possibilities in your head. And I say, no, it doesn't work that way. In my head, I see one thing. I don't see 1,000 variations. And then when you say it, I say, oh, that's right. I get one image and I say it, and it's one thing. I said, I know what you're trying to say, but that
frequency.
Yeah.
It's an absolute frequency that you're feeling, because your whole universe is in here too. Mm-hmm. All of it. Mm-hmm. So when you think about that and the relevance of that we project out and make our own story, it's like, okay, I just went to see Mary Poppins, and I'm sat in the cinema, and there I am sat in the cinema, watching a screen, mm-hmm. watching real people and animation on a screen, and actually totally immersed in it myself.
Yeah.
I'm also very very sort of aware, if you like, of the projector that's projecting all of this stuff, which seems so real. Mm-hmm. All of it, it would be difficult to separate any of it.
Yeah.
What's real and what is not real. Who's having the experience? I am. Who's creating the experience? I am. Yeah. Who chose the experience? I did. And just that little analogy right there explains the whole of life.
Yes, it does.
By our visuals, our experiences, our feelings, our trigger points, our choices, you know, and there was not one moment of any of that I felt any fear, because I'm in this Mary Poppins dream.
Yeah.
You know? So as simple as I've tried to make that, or I don't mean to dismiss any fear, because when you're really in fear and negativity and darkness and gloom and depression, it's a very real dark place to be. It really is. Yeah. And I think all you need to remember in that place is it's just inactive light.
It's the technically, scientifically, it is actually the absence of light. It's just the same thing, essentially.
Yeah.
There's just no light there. If you shine light there, light is more powerful, literally, scientifically, than dark is. So when you can bring a more positive thing into the situation, that's why people tend to grasp onto people in relationships, or you know, for codependency, because that person is lighter in some ways than they are. So they just hold on for dear life because they aren't like themselves. They're darker than that person, and so they just take their light instead and use that to sustain their own life. But that doesn't work. You have to do it for yourself, obviously.
Thank you. Hallelujah. Seriously, because I have seen that so often, where you know, people really just run on the coattails of people that will look after them, that will give them that light, that will drag them through life, literally drag, however it is. Yeah. And you have to strike that match into your own darkened room and find a way, and just keep one foot in front of the other, and find a way in the illusion and disillusion of that dreadful fear. And this conversation, in my opinion, somebody that is in that room, to hear you talk about it so openly and candidly and honestly, you know, and really honestly is amazing. It is amazing. Yeah, it is amazing. And love is the way.
I would like to say, while we're on this topic, in this new relationship I'm in, I thought for a very short period I was going to be holding on to that person's coattails. I had to remind myself not to do that, because that is not sustainable. And I really felt this love from this person, genuine kindness and genuine, you know, I saw a relationship that was sustainable in the future in my head. As soon as I met this person, I didn't want to ruin it by making that person my source of happiness, because I was happy when they came into my life. But then I realized, oh, maybe I do like having someone else around too. And then when they weren't there, I started to kind of just slowly feel a bit sadder every time. And I realized that was this.
You're giving your power away.
Yes.
You're becoming more and more powerless.
Exactly.
By doing that.
Yes. And it was my fault because I allowed that to happen. And then as soon as I noticed that, I told my boyfriend that. And he agreed. Obviously, that's not the right thing to do. And I made a conscious effort when he wasn't there to start making sure I do things for looking after myself like I did before, like having a wash first thing in the morning and just brushing my teeth. Because you get lazy in a relationship, you start to just relax and be happy with that person in that moment, and you just forget the basic things for a while. We all do it. We just get swept away, don't we? So I had to remind myself to just be with myself and be happy again. But if I hadn't, I would now be in a codependent relationship, because he's admitted that he's been in relationships with people, friendly and otherwise, where they've taken full advantage of that, of his kindness, and he's just dragged them through. He's taken them to job interviews and tried to help them, and doesn't work, obviously. And I didn't want to be another person like that. So we've kind of come together we fit together very well, really, in that sense. It's very strange.
I think to outsource your own happiness, if you like, to outsource it, you become so totally dependent on whoever it is, whether it's one person or a variety of people, to sustain you. It can't happen. And the moment it's withdrawn for whatever reason, you not only become unworthy and insecure, but you become powerless. And you're going to be absolutely broken when that's taken away from you.
Yes.
You know, it's just not possible to do that. So, yeah, we have to be the source of our own happiness in here.
Yeah.
And not only hear that or even believe it, you have to know it.
You have to. Yeah, you have to
really know it, and know that being alone is lonely.
No,
it's actually rewarding and healthy and necessary, really necessary. And I think that's what unconditional love is. The unconditional love that you can give to yourself first, because without that, you can't know how to love somebody else. No. You can't know how to receive the love of somebody else.
Right.
It's unconditionally self-love and acceptance. See, that's it, Tim. The acceptance of you. You're accepting you.
Exactly. I think there'll be a lot of people that say you can love people when you haven't experienced unconditional love. But I think it is love to a sense, but it's love at a cost. So maybe it's not unconditional love. For example, the person that raised me, their love wasn't unconditional. It appeared unconditional at first, and then later down the line it would be, oh, well, I did this, or I gave you this. Why do you not now behave this way? And I didn't realise that till later life, really. But I think a lot of people live that way, and they think they've had love or experienced love or are giving love, but it's not truly from a place of absolute selflessness.
No.
I think we really have to work on that somehow. And if you have
a lot of conditions and conditioning, and a lot of people replicate how they've been taught. They don't know different. You know, it's just a set of, again, beliefs or patterns that they just continue through generations.
It's encoded into our DNA. It's actual. There's been tested on mice recently that 14 generations of mice have had behaviours from previous family members encoded into their DNA. They haven't been taught how to do, but emotionally, if like they're scared of a certain thing, they've not been taught that in their lifetime, but they instinctively know, without even being shown it, that they should be scared of a certain object or a certain thing. And it's because their ancestor, essentially, was taught to be scared of it. We do the same thing.
That whole lineage thing is, so that's why we have to start with ourselves. And you can stop that domino effect any further, right with you. You know, you can stop that whole thing up to you, and certainly the whole thing after you with everybody you come into contact with.
Absolutely.
And it's an amazing thing. It's a huge job. You know, people talk about, well, what's my mission, or what's my purpose, or what am I here to do? Just that.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, just this.
Yeah.
Self-realization. That's it. That's your job.
It's enough.
It is enough, and whatever comes from that,
great,
will be right, because you're coming from a frequency that is without conditions or attachments or disillusions or illusions or fear, ultimately.
Exactly.
And people know that. They feel it, Tim.
They do.
They feel.
Sorry, I was going to interrupt you. I remember when you said before that you said I feel like a safe kind of space, and I was recently told the same thing by my current boyfriend, and he said the same thing, and I said I understand that, and he said, do you know that? And I said no. I said I understand what you mean, but it's a compliment, but in the same way I think it's how it should be. It should be that we're all safe spaces for each other, and we can all just, so I can say anything to you right now. I can openly discuss anything with, I don't think there's anything I couldn't say to you that you would judge. And I think we should all be that way. And it shouldn't be what's the word? Exception? It should be the normal exception, sorry. It shouldn't be the exception, it should be the rule.
Yeah.
Be the normal.
Yes. And I think that's what's missing in relationships, whether it's you know, an intimate relationship or a friendship or families. It's this place of acceptance, and this place of, even if you don't understand where somebody's coming from, we'll go inwardly and try and understand it, because we're all different. But then, are we?
We could all experience the same thing at another point in our lifetime. We could be in the same position.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and your experiences are helping others, and that's a very fine thing.
I agree.
And I'm extremely grateful and humbled, because it's a very, not only worthwhile but courageous thing. And I'm just sat here as your mirror, really, with your reflection on the wall, going, a dialogue.
Yes.
So perhaps I can have a better understanding, and you can have a better understanding.
Exactly. Yeah, both get the same reward, essentially.
Yeah.
And then people watching this may hopefully get something too.
Yeah. Well, we can see some daffodils. And two extremely lovely, beautiful people here who are good friends, being open and honest from their hearts. And that's all anybody can do, Tim.
I agree.
It's enough.
I think so too.
So, on that note, I've no idea how long we've been chatting. No idea.
It may tell me on the screen somewhere. It doesn't tell me. I don't know.
I don't know either. I'm going to guess probably about 30 minutes. Rough guess.
Yeah.
I just feel that we've come to a natural conclusion. So, is there anything else you would like or think you should say or want to say?
Not me. About you? Anything? I don't think so. But
no.
You?
What a lovely way to spend a Wednesday evening.
I agree. I had a nice nap before.
Yeah. Well, let's do it again sometime, and not.
We should do it very soon. Yeah.
All right. So, big hugs. Big hugs. Lots of love.
See you soon.
Bye, Tim.
Bye bye.